A Vanguard Zero video without me actually on my phone is pretty strange, but let's do it. Welcome folks, today we will be talking about the latest updates in Vanguard Zero because I felt like, first things first, a lot of you guys asked me to talk about it, but also I think it deserves a video of its own apart from just being squished into my other videos about Vanguard Zero. But before we begin, hopefully, from this video and the previous video already, you will have noticed that I do have channel memberships enabled. So if you scroll down next to the subscribe button, there will be a join button. And so if you want to, you may support the channel by becoming a YouTube channel member. I believe I've priced it at €5 per month in terms of, the membership. And essentially what you'll get is obviously shoutouts. Every new channel member will be shouted out at the beginning of the most recent video, but then also before the outro plays at the end of each video, the list of all channel members will be put. And then on top of that, you do get a bit more of this like behind the scenes view with the channel member community chat. And then on top of that, you will also be receiving priority for things like Vanguard Zero, stream fights and things like that. And in general, just preferential treatment, let's put it that way. So if you want to, that little extra in to become a channel member, I would really appreciate it. But obviously if you don't, you shouldn't, because my content is free. My content is for you to enjoy. You should not pay for my content, but it's just kind of a thing where, people, it's the same as Twitch subs. You do it if you want to. You get some emotes and a little badge next to your name if you want that. But yeah, just thought I would mention that. So, Zero has been getting a lot of interesting news. I am going to have more videos on Zero, like not just gameplay and pack openings and like event guides, but I'm also going to have videos just talking about Zero like thematically like this. But today we're going to be talking about specifically the updates, and so we found out quite a few things. First things first, obviously from February 1st, the release of the new pack, including DP, Dark Railers, and Pale Moon is coming out. That's going to be very exciting because, for me, myself, DP means a lot, and Pale Moon also, but DP most importantly. I really hope that I can pull, the staples and build my decks, from day one. I'm opening a lot of packs for that, so I'm really excited for that. But that's news that we kind of already knew from the video I made on the leaks. So there have been some things that have been kind of different in the leaks though, because for example, Spikes was supposed to release alongside the last set, and then Neo Nectar is looking to be released alongside this set, but they're not, because they're just in the data. And like for example, the Spikes crafting material appeared in-game even, not just in the data, but like in-game physically. And like Skydiver is used for the promotional material, but then it's nowhere to be seen in-game. So I'm not sure if they're going to be distributing it like the Grand Blue event, or if it's going to be like a random release at some point with like those clans. So we'll see. It's kind of interesting how they're treating these. They're not like releasing them normally, or they're like appearing in the data but not actually being released. So pretty interesting. But one thing to note as well, a lot of you guys asked where the Grand Blue event guide is, and the simple answer is I was in Japan and didn't have time to record. So the Grand Blue event started the day that, I believe it was the day I landed in Japan, more or less, and it basically ended the day I left Japan. And so it was in that specific time window where I didn't really have the free time to record videos, and that's why videos were slow for that time period. So unfortunately I didn't have a video ready to put out, and therefore it just kind of missed it. So unfortunately that happened, but usually it won't. Usually I do have the time to make videos like that, and should not be the case next time when we get another Grand Blue event, which does seem to be the case, I think, in a couple months. So that should be pretty exciting. But for me personally, Grand Blue event didn't go too well. I think I got like a couple Night Mists, and I got all the double rares, but then I didn't get any Rune Shades, and so if you don't have 4 Night Mists, the deck doesn't really work. So yeah, didn't do too well, but gacha is gacha, so it's a bit unfortunate. I hope they rerun that event more often to give people a chance to get stuff. I know some people really didn't struggle at all, but yeah, so that's Grand Blue event. But then in terms of news, I think the biggest thing is the first nerf. So online card games are obviously known for buffing and nerfing cards very often, and we've basically just got our first nerf after the game's been out for only not even exactly 2 months, a little bit under 2 months, and we get our first one that will be effective from February 1st, which is the Amber Dragon Eclipse, I believe is the grade 3, where essentially now the effect of it was that it was the original card effect, which is main phase, Kama's 2, your Vanguard gets the effect that when it hits your opponent's Vanguard, you can retire 2 of their rear guards, which is I mean, in regular Vanguard, not that strong, obviously, but in Zero, it's insanely good. I wouldn't say it's broken or crazy, but it's very good, and it's not so much that it makes Amber's the, like, be-all best deck, but it simply makes it so that some decks cannot exist, or some decks cannot be top in the meta, or they cannot even be considered competitive, like Garmor, for example, where it's just so controlling, and so it has such an easy time just nuking boards that decks like Garmor just can't really keep up, and even decks like Blouse or Tsukuyomi, like, they really have a hard time keeping up against that deck because they don't have this replacement of the field as easily as, for example, Risers that have Trance Risers who just like plop down a unit every turn, that they, or like every time they play the card, really, as long as they don't see a grade 3 off of it. So yeah, so this is our first restriction. The new effect is that instead of retiring 2, retires 1, and so for Combust 2 you would argue if that's worth it or not. It's basically like a Berserk Dragon. I think it's still okay, but I think Kagura will go back to the deck it kind of was, but like basically what the last season, the first January season, we had some of the top Legend players playing Kagura without Amber Dragons, just Dragonic Overlord and the guy that gets plus 3k when he attacks for Combust 1 and things like that. Was basically just a control deck and just aiming to take out stuff and using counterchargers to use Overlord more often and just all the counterblasting effects more often because we got Bellicosity and also the like Salamander, Heat Nail, whatever the thing is that lets you retire grade 1s also being used, and I think that deck will just come to be popular in the next meta. We'll see how, you know, good it's going to be because we have 3 more clans now entering the meta. There's more and more clans releasing, and it's nice that they keep up these releases, and you know, because they're clan based, some people can choose to skip out on them. For example, with the recent set that just came out, I opened packs, you know, the first day it came out, and then until I got my 4 Tsukuyomis, then just stopped. And then now I'm looking at like 100 packs for the next set because I've been saving up. But so that's the biggest news. We got our first nerf, and their way of compensating for it was to give out 10 free packs. And while I think that's good, because it pleases everyone, I think the people that invested into Amber Dragons feel a little bit left out because now the people that didn't invest into the deck and people that did get the same rewards or compensation. And so it feels better when other card games do it, where they just like let you disenchant the card for the original crafting cost, so it's basically like as if you never crafted it. And so that's a better system, and maybe they should have also on top of that given out free Kagero crafting material. And I think maybe if they get enough feedback about this and people are loud enough about it, that they will do this. But I'm not sure if the compensation is, obviously the compensation is great, 10 free packs is huge, it's amazing, but I think it's just maybe not so fair for the people that invested into the deck. And so for now, people are making too much noise about it, but we'll see how that is with, like, how aggressive they are with these nerfs. Because, in my opinion, Amber Dragons weren't OP, they were just annoying. And I think Busho or Bushimo or Game Studio, whoever is the main developer, just didn't like the fact that it didn't let some people play some decks, and therefore that's why they put in this restriction, or not restriction, but nerf. It literally is a nerf. And so we'll see what their policy is with restricting and buffing in the future. I think we might see some buffs at some point, especially when, you know, more new cards are releasing, and that's kind of a way to answer power creep with new cards, is that they can just buff older ones, and that might genuinely happen, depending on if they care more about making older decks still relevant or about selling new packs, which for a lot of card games is selling new packs. So we're gonna see how that is. But so that was the biggest change. Other ones include, we saw in the product stream, we're getting a Valentine's event with Korin and Asaka skins. And so what's interesting is that you can buy the 200 pack token thing like Korin unlocked with her sleeves and stuff, but you should be able to get this Valentine's one even if you didn't, because it's just another skin for royals, I assume, not gold. And so that's pretty nice, because even if you didn't get those 200 token Korin, you know, that Korin set, you can still get her as a skin for royals, which is good because not a lot of people like using IG and therefore would prefer to use Korin, so that's also good. And the Asaka one is also very precious and, you know, great. So we're getting that, and that's looking to be kind of like your typical, you know, event. But then another thing we're getting is a data mine came out to show that we're getting a Cray Elemental challenge, which is looking to be something where you have to either play against a deck of Cray Elementals or play with a deck of Cray Elementals and do certain things and achieve certain conditions to get rewards. And so we don't know too much about that. It just got data mined that we're getting it, and so it's going to be interesting what kind of rewards we get for that. And I think, yeah, like those are kind of the main big updates. The other thing is that obviously Japan is getting, you know, bigger tournaments, and we're hopefully going to be getting that in the English release too. The English release is coming sooner and sooner. You know, spring is just around the corner at this point, just another month to go, maybe 2. But it's going to be interesting to see when the game does release and, you know, how well received it will be in English. I hope very. But yeah, so it's interesting. But those are kind of the main headlines for Zero. We're also getting Perfect Riser as the ranked ladder reward for the first half of February. I think this is really cool because everyone expected them to do a Sure Kaiser, but they chose to take a more recent triple rare, a more relevant triple rare, and put that instead, and I really respect that because I didn't expect it at all. I really thought that they wouldn't do that. I felt like they would go for the easier move, but instead they're giving us really competitively viable triple rares. Like Perfect Riser right now in Game With is rated as the best deck in the format, and like it's understandably so because it eats up a PG every turn. So, and I mean, it has big numbers, it can make columns easily that get over defensives and stuff like that, and it's just really interesting that they chose to give out this arguably one of the best triple rares in the game just like that for playing ranked. And the grind in Legend really isn't that bad. It's quite enjoyable, I would say, as long as you play a deck that you have fun with. This is something that I felt, you know, going from Tsuku to Blouse, is that with Blouse I have so much more fun. So yeah, I think it's interesting. The game itself, it feels good. Like, I'm gonna make a separate video talking about, you know, Vanguard Zero 2 months later, so I don't want to say too much here, but the game feels good and the team feels very hands-on. They don't let bugs sit, they patch things out, and they give compensation for basically every little thing, so it's overall really, really nice. But yeah, I think that's it for this video. Just wanted to talk about the more recent updates, you know, what's coming to the game, because a lot of you guys did ask me to do that, and I know a lot of you guys now. One thing that I'm really happy about is that there's a lot of people that got into Vanguard with Zero, even though it's only the Japanese release so far, and people getting into Vanguard with Zero is something I really hope to see, and the fact that we already had that with just the Japanese release kind of tells me that we should be having a lot more of it with the English release, and so I'm happy to continue making more content and, you know, provide more information to these newer players, because Vanguard is great. And if you got into Vanguard with Zero, maybe you'll try out the physical game because there's a lot of fun to be had, and I'm glad that people are having fun with Zero, honestly. It's a really fun game and I'm positively surprised by it a lot of times. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if I time this right with my upload schedule, this should be coming out before I open DP packs and such. So yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Once again, do feel free to become a channel member. That would be really, really awesome, and you know, you will get your name shouted out at the end of the video and all that stuff. But on that note, that will be it for today. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.